Hey, it's Chris, Liege of Games. Tuesday Roundup. What up? It's Friday, so we're talking about all the new games that launched on crowdfunding. And I'll tell you right now, I am backing a game that I never heard of before this week. Never heard of it, never seen it. I know the designer from something else that they did on crowdfunding, but I was not expecting to back anything new. And so, again, this is why I love doing this hobby and talking about board games because I love it in the first place. And if you missed the video from earlier in the week, I talked about 3 games from small publishers that I think you should really be checking out if you are really interested in supporting some of the small ones and not just going for the big household names. Household. You know what I mean. But there we go. As always, Patreon, weekly-ish. I screwed up the last 2 weeks, but they got a special insight into some of the background stuff and some of the exclusive stuff as well this past week. So if you're interested, down below. Otherwise, click the like button, smash it so YouTube lets other people know how cool I am. I'm not that cool, but I talk about very good stuff often. And then otherwise, let's just do it. What is out there this week on crowdfunding? Look, first up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite publishers. This is Level 99 Games, their adaptation of Dead by Daylight, the board game. Now, you can make the argument, as many do, that, oh geez, I don't know, they took almost a full day to fund. They went with a true funding goal of $250,000, and they're at $300,000 already in less than 24 hours. So, deal with it. Anyway, really interesting though, because this is a lot of people backing a game that is a game I had actually never heard of from a console PC side of things. First, basically, you're one versus all. And again, this is a little bit of a departure from what we are used to seeing from Level 99 Games in general. And I do not say that is a bad thing whatsoever. It is a killer versus players, survivors trying to escape. And the killer has to get a certain number of sacrifices before they can escape in this relatively smaller sized board than I was initially expecting. But it is a one versus all. So people are either going to be loving that or probably passing on it. It's a less popular overall mechanic in general speak than a lot of others that come especially from a miniature. Now, they have 2 pledge levels here right now, and we'll talk about that, $49 and $99. The $99 one has more than double the amount of stuff, though. 17 survivors, 16 killers, 7 and 6 up here, and then 89 cards of double-sided map board, 2 double-sided map boards, and 133 cards. So not quite double on some of those other things, but definitely in terms of the things you're going to use the most, the characters and the killers, you're going to have much more variety there. The question just is, again, do you need all of that? Are you going to have it played enough? And do you have enough group space for this type of game? I mean, I have Rise of Moloch, I have the others, and I have Beast coming. And do you need another one versus all? And I say that as someone who likes one versus alls, but they occupy a specific part of a collection. The other question is going to be, I think, like all of Level 99 other games, is what's going to be the difference between this and retail? And the main thing they have done, sort of like Leader Games, is it's probably going to be less on crowdfunding. It tends to be that their games don't go into as wide of distribution at a much bigger discount. They just don't. And again, completely okay. You then support the publisher through their website at a slightly higher cost. But that's what we've seen with their other games. So if you're one of those people who's saying, I'm just going to pick up later at a cheaper cost, well, like Root, like, Oath, you may not be able to, unless you're really hoping that someone isn't going to like it. And then that's always sort of a gamble. Because if it's really that much of a hit and you're trying to pick it off of someone else, then you might be paying extra. So again, take that for what you will. It's a one versus all. As a survivor, play, move, find power generators, avoid the killer, get the tools. As the killer, hunt them down, wound them, take them to the places that you need to make sacrifices. As you get 8 sacrifices, 8, not 7, I guess I messed up there, you win. Rulebook is out there. Rulebook was out there a couple weeks in advance, so people have already looked at it. They've already taken a look at it. Miniatures, again, another slight departure from Level 99 Games. But that's going to be part of the price point that you're going to be paying. And again, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? Everything there that you're going to see. Again, it's just what are the mechanics, what are the nuances there, what does it look like? Are you a fan of these mechanics or not? Personally, for me, I am not a big fan of the horror genre. And so for me, the one versus alls that I have are a little bit more my style to begin with. But it's level 99 games. I expect a solid game. I don't worry about the, you know, gameplay of it because as they said in some of the interviews or some of the articles prior to this, big fans of the game in the first place. So this is coming from people who have a passion for it on both aspects. So I expect it to be quality. But the problem is that there's not a whole lot of video. I think Quackalope put out a video earlier today, a preview video or a gameplay video. I can't remember which. So that's the only criticism that I would really level at them is not having a little bit more video, a little bit more content of knowing exactly how the dynamics of the game are going to play. But there's the rule book, so take that for what you will. Personally, me, I think both and the combination often help me the most. But if I have to pick one or the other, I'm taking the rule book every time. Check it out if you want on your own. There you go. Next up, the other hotness one, Rove, the expansion collection. Why are we talking about this? This is Button Shy. This is Button Shy. They do their thing. They do it at a low price, a low game overhead, small game size, no question. People love their products. People go all in for their products. The other thing that you'll see on this is they offer all of their other stuff usually during these campaigns. So some of this is true what it is for Rove, but some of this, at least a good chunk of this, is probably also for some of their other stuff, I'd wonder. Board Game of the Month Club, and then let's see what else we got down here. Everything Rove, and then I'm guessing, yeah, Button Shy Instant Collection. Again, that's $500-600 of that, and then a whole nother instant collection there as well. And again, they usually even offer, I believe, in the past, maybe Pledge Manager of other games, but I'm not going to speak for that right now. So what is Rove? Why would you be interested in it? And why are they also offering a PvP? It's a solo spatial puzzle game, as they say. You have to arrange the module cards in a specific pattern. You only have so many movement points that you can use by either discarding cards or that you're given in the first place. And it's going to be giving you different challenges in terms of modularity and expansions. So they have 3 here that are included. Alien Activities, Icy Incidents, and Cosmic Crisis. They run through how each of these are slightly different in terms of what you're going to be having to try and do. And again, they're going to give you something free like they usually do, a little bit of an extra thing there. Again, price-wise, it's going to be better here then as well. So again, if you're looking at this, it's going to be better to get it now. A few videos, a few comments, going through the awards here. Again, it's Button Shy. You know what you're getting. Again, just like level 99 games, they have a core good following, and there's never a question of it, whether or not the game is going to be quality. It's whether or not the quality game is going to be for you. So for me, these small games, I don't have them. I don't play a lot solo, but I know people that love them, and they love having more of them, and it's great. So there's Rove, Button Shy Games. Next up, we have Age of Rome, and this was an interesting one. I love this, 99 minutes, right? Anyway, it's almost 200% funded in less than 24 hours. And when I looked at this last week, when I did the preview video, the question just was, what makes this one unique? And you have this movable center board here that is going to give it different arrangements as it rotates on a turn-by-turn basis. So when I'm looking at this, though, I'm not really quite sure what to make of it, because it is more of a Euro game, but it also gives me the vibe of like more of a 4X with some of the options that you're going to be doing. Trade, military, farming, politics, backstabbing, in this worker placement game. Now it says 60 minutes, which is a really fast time frame for a game that has all of those options on this spinning board. Board Game Co., Quackalope, Game Brigade, they all have quotes on here. You can check it out. I like a little bit of these animations. At the same time, they don't also tell me enough about what I'm actually doing, right? It just gives me politics. You vote. Well, duh. Anyway, because again, with all of these different aspects, schemes, religion, trade, politics, military, how do you play that in 60 minutes? So again, I'm not sure. This is not my forte, so I can't give you the in-depth criticism or critique or pros and cons as well as other people in that sense. But it's doing something unique with the spinning board, so take that for what you will. I'm going to leave that for you guys to figure out how unique and how special and how, importantly different that is. And they've unlocked down here, I believe, a solo and cooperative gameplay. And so you get a little bit of that as well already unlocked. And then the rule book is out here as well. So you can check it out. So there's no mystery of what it is. Plenty of videos. If we saw quotes by all those people, I assume we're going to get to the videos here in a minute. Tabletop Simulator. 70 euros. Okay, 100 euros for coin sleeves and deluxe tray. I mean, that's... I just talked about this. I just filmed a video talking about this sort of thing, and I'm leaving that one alone. No many spoilers. What else are we going to get for stretch goals? And again, is it going to be deluxeification being the main or other reason that you're going to get it now? Yeah, pretty much. Videos, 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 videos. Here we go. All the videos, all the videos, all the videos. Tons of videos. Holy videos. So again, I'm not going to go into the rulebook for this one. I'll leave that for other channels to talk about and other videos to explain it to you. But I have to talk about it because it's there and they're doing something slightly different, at least appears on the surface. And it's just to what extent and are you okay with that and how is it going to actually work? And again, check out those videos because Liege, it's a little outside of Liege's depths. And I'm okay with saying that. You know what? Everybody isn't a master at everything. And this one's my weak spot. So there you go. Speaking of things that I know a little bit more about, Darkest Doom. I saw this one getting all sorts of Facebook ads for like months. And so this is from the people who have made some of the tabletoppers and some of the 3D scenery for RPGs, tabletop RPGs. And so this is their foray into board gaming. And so this is a competitive, more role-playing-esque game, 1 to 4 players with miniatures. And this is going to be an interesting test of things as well. We've seen a few of these lately that really kind of make me go, okay, this is tempting, but how tempting should it be based on what's out there, especially with something like this, Melhaya, Earth Under Siege, you know, all of these sort of back to back to back, and what does it actually look like? Now, the interesting thing, when I talked about this last week, I thought this was actually a co-op. Competitive makes me both more eager and also less eager at the same time, if that makes sense. And if you back in the first 48 hours, so if you backed before I did this video, you would be getting this 5th player and semi-cooperative expansion for free. Which, 5th player in a game like this, I worry about increasing the time and the length. And then semi-cooperative, I can't think of very many games even on one hand that do semi-cooperative really well. So take that for what you will. You might not be missing out a whole lot on that. But again, it's a miniature crawl RPG-ish based game. So if you thought you were going to get it for under $100, I have some news for you. I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. $153 also gets you what? The expansion, the graphic novel, the deluxeifications for it essentially. So, and I'm assuming the rest of the stuff that was, again, separate would be more than that because they say you're saving $90. So take that for what you will. Miniatures, factions. I mean, again, cool miniatures. Artwork is great. I love the dark theme style. Anthropomorphic, I believe is what they're saying. Anthropomorphic creatures that are battling each other. Elder pack, more miniature, like an upgrade pack almost, essentially. Daily unlocks, game highlights. I'm going to have to look at the rulebook on this one. I haven't looked at any videos because open world is all the rage right now. Open world on board game scenes, on video game scenes has been all the rage in the past couple years. And it's just, how does it incorporate it and what does it do differently? Because I've seen open world in a couple games. I've played open world in a couple games now. And I like the idea of it, but the actuality of it oftentimes doesn't line up with quite what I'm looking for. And I can't tell you what that is, right? When you play a video game, open world, it's not like you can describe exactly every piece of things that you want in the open world, but you can tell a little bit in the open world. You can just say, okay, I know it when I see it. And that's sort of what I wonder about with this in terms of, okay, what are you going to be doing? How differently can you do things? Allying with other factions, using the zone's unique abilities for your own gain, having quests that you can change, searching for relics or recruiting allies. Again, it sounds really cool, and I just don't know. It's also going to be dice-based. How do you feel about dice? You're trying to accomplish the best that you can while fending off the darkness over, I believe, like, 9 days or so? And again, sort of the pandemic-esque, how do you feel about calamity randomly happening and you having to adjust to it? Bad guys popping up, dealing you things that you're not going to be able to know about. Again, is that your style of game? There's a couple how to play videos, and Rahdo's run-throughs. There's not a whole lot of other information along that aspect. I believe there's a rulebook on the page as well too. So there's enough information, but this is one of those where I would probably click remind me like I'm doing now and see where it ends up with about 48 hours, or less left, and see how things have changed, see what the incentive is to back it. Because again, it's a crowded market and we're seeing more and more of this. So how is it going to stand out? But that's Darkest Doom. This is my indie pick of the week. You can see right now that I am backing it. This is CIfra. This is an abstract strategy game from a Japanese designer, and it is like ceramic. And so it's going to be a very different game. It's sort of like chess. You move your pieces. You get one move of one piece, and you're essentially trying to get them to the other side, or you're trying to capture your opponent's colors. The color that the piece is, for example, this blue one, all of these blue pieces then that it is touching or that are touching itself, that's considered one space. The white ones individually are all one space, but this one could slide all the way over and take this one right here, and that would actually just be one movement point. Not here, not here, there. But the white one that's in front of it could only move to this blue one in front of it. And so that's the nuance. You also get an exchangeable, mix-matchable board that changes the layout every single time. You can also, I think, get the board that doesn't change. But, I mean, why would that be fun? You wouldn't want that fun. They give you the explanation of everything I just said right here. Very nice diagram. They do a very good job of explaining it. And they give you a couple diagrams here. And then they break down the diagrams even with words afterwards. So in case you're like me and you need to see it and read it, boom, all there. You can get different designs on the tiles themselves. They have 3 different modes you can play it in, and it's only going to cost you about $50 shipped to the US. I'm in. So there you go. This is my dark horse. This is my lock of the century, lock of the week games that I am most interested in. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Shout out right there. Anyway, there you go. Feralis, Obscure Land. I'm really intrigued by this one. Again, funded on the first day. No issues about that aspect of things. The question in my mind was upcoming prior to the campaign, how much deck construction, how much deck building, how much of the work do you have to put in beforehand versus during the game itself? Because the art is awesome, the concept is awesome, but the actuality of me getting it to the table is more of the issue. And again, in this very saturated market of battling card games, what does it do that other stuff is not out there? $48 is going to get you the core, which again, okay, great. Let's see what comes with that because it's the Kickstarter edition with stretch goals. Gameplay all in is going to cost you $84 with the early bird. So if you're watching this now, you're too late. What's the difference? $87. That's not horrible at all. It's a $3 difference. So if you're too late, I mean, that's nothing. And you're getting 2 expansions plus Curse the Devious, whatever that is. So this is probably the other dark horse of the week for me of things that are going to tempt me. And we saw even on the preview page before that there were 2 expansions going along with it. Like many of these other games, they have 2 modes, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2. A few quotes right here. We'll get past this here because I want to know how this actually is working. Why incorporate it? Now, here we go. We get down to the why back now. Exclusive content. That's spelled wrong. That's okay. Stretch goals. Make the game an actuality. Okay. Core pledge. Again, we ran through all of this. We don't need to see all of this. I want to know how this actually plays. I want to know what this looks like. Now, you get a little exclusive here. 1 card exclusive. The mats are exclusive. The sleeves are exclusive. But what are we actually doing here? You have these sort of bosses that you get to choose one of, and then you're doing your deck construction after that via the creatures, the allies, and the other cards that go along with this. Again, very, very dark. So we skipped way down here because they basically show you all of the cards and the creatures that come with each of these sets. Reducing, just like Magic, your opponent's life points down to 0 from 20. You have cards that are going to have different abilities, different metrics that you're going to be taking into account. You have a call side as well as an awakening state, depending on where the card is, how you decide to play it, and where it's coming from. One side is harder. It tells you how long it takes to incubate to get to its more powerful side, tells you the abilities, and then you have these other skills that are divine skills that you can use along with catalysts to prime things to go faster, like in terms of the incubation. Now, they break this down really well. I'm giving them a lot of kudos here. They break down the field, tells you what each part of the field does, the turn composition in terms of removing counters and slowly getting them ready, the main phase where you're using your creature cards in the first place, the attack phase, the draw phase, and then here's where the deck construction comes in. You get 20 cards. This is where I probably would be lost because I love the idea of this, but I can't deck construct. I just can't. I do not have the time. I do not have the wherewithal. And the other main problem is I don't have a partner that wants to do that as well. That's the biggest issue. Otherwise, this game would probably be something I would be really backing right now because I like the gist of it and I like the idea of it as a 1 versus 1 battler doing something, again, slightly different in terms of those mechanisms. You get some upgrades here, upgrades. Now, I don't see anything exclusive so far. A few social goals as well, and a few retailers. Here's some videos. You can check it out yourself. Again, it's something cool. It's something different. This is a dark horse as well that hasn't gotten a lot of hype, but it should probably get some more love too. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this one ends, it breaks 100,000. So give it a look. Feralis. Next up, we have Slash and Spells. Now, I have a video on this, so I'm a little biased. But this is another one that I go and I look at right now and I think of, why isn't this funding? Because this gives me vibes of Dice Throne with King of Tokyo mix, only minus the dice and plus cards that give you unique actions that you can take during your turn. Again, standees, acrylic standees, and it's almost a third of the way funded. So we'll kind of see where it goes. But this is another one that I look at and I go, why isn't this one funding compared to other ones? Is it getting lost in the shuffle? And I look at this as well as if it doesn't fund this time, I go, this is another one that I would say would easily fund on a relaunch. And so it's just really interesting to see nowadays because I don't know, it has everything that you would want in it. My personal disclaimer, I didn't do the team battle. I did the free for all at the lower player counts. And so, again, $55 for the edition, $85 for the all-in. I guess that's the thing, is, as I was mentioning earlier with the worker placement or the Euros, seem to get the deluxifications. The Amerithrash deluxifications just don't seem to be as popular for whatever reason, I feel like. Yeah, you get the expansion, you get the additional characters. Again, these are good acrylic standees. This is a solid game. I wasn't as enamored with the two characters here, but it's sort of like with Dice Throne as I was comparing it. It's got the 1-star and the 2-star. Definitely the increased asymmetry, powers, and interesting aspects are at these other ones, these 3s, 4s, and the 5-1. Again, it's sort of a little bit of not really area control at all, even though the map may make you think it's sort of like that, but it's more whoever knocks out the most opponents. So again, more King of Tokyo in that aspect. And on the map, you're picking up cubes that allow you to upgrade your powers as you're going. And again, the expansion gives you more stuff. So your hero, your realm, you're constantly changing initiative order between the rounds. And with a knockdown game, you might fear that it's going to be too many turns, too many pylons. But because it's only got 2 actions per round before the initiative changes, it gives you a lot of room to adapt. Again, choose how you want to customize your character because you have 3 not stats, but 3 ways to upgrade it differently or asymmetrically depending on what's going on. So, there's my video actually. Awesome. Rulebook is out there. Again, solid game. Solid game. You just need to know what you're getting into. Yeah. Again, I don't know why. I look at this one and I go, this is a very solid game, but you may not have heard it before either. But either way, I'm going to give it a shout out again on the roundup. Check out my video as well separately if you want to know more details than everything I just said here. There you go. Slash and Spells. Origins Season 2 Gaming Coffee Table. I'm always amazed by how much money these accessories make, especially the tables, because it seems like every 3 or 4 months at bare minimum, we have a new table that gets launched, and it never fails to get hundreds of thousands of dollars, despite the cost being, again, thousands of dollars. I don't know. I have a kitchen table. I would love one of these things. I have nowhere to put it. Nowhere. Our basement is kid zone, so it's not going to be anywhere that it can be placed, and we don't have any separate gaming room in that sense. So again, I love the idea of this. I would love to have one. I would love to have one. Now, not maybe a coffee table, an actual table. I could use a coffee table for this little office right here, instead of me sitting on a cushion and having an Ankh box that holds up my laptop while I'm talking to you guys in front of the camera. Not that that's actually the case. It's actually the case. But again, I mean, this is thousands and thousands of dollars, 25% off. I don't know. I don't know what these go for at retail, if people buy them at retail or not. I'm just not in the market. So I would be interested to see what you guys say. And again, I can never tell the difference between this one and the other ones, and how deluxe and how blinged out they are seems to be the biggest cost difference apart from the type of wood. But as with all of the prices for wood now, price has gone up, so it's going to cost you more than it was previously. So thought I'd mention it. It's definitely tabletop adjacent, game adjacent, and so it's got $200,000. There you go. Big Pig game. I called it. I said it might be coming this week. You're feeding the little piggies, right? About 65% of the way funded. What do you need to know about the game? 40 minutes, 1 to 4 players, and you're cooperative. Their big selling point here, though, is it's not only for families, it can also be done for strategic gamers. They got a quote up there from Shut Up and Sit Down, which is, few and far between, so take that for what you will. And you get a little bit of a sense of what you're doing here, just with all the aesthetic cards. But what are you actually doing in terms of the gameplay? You're getting a token, placing on your board to take an action. That action allows you, potentially, to take food tiles off of the food board. Get all of those off there, and you win. But you also have the ability to upgrade those actions in order to be a more efficient muncher, as it says. Rulebook is there. Game is, again, it's sort of a little bit of a filler on a lighter side of things. And again, I have nothing wrong with those. What's the price point? Ooh, $45. That's more than I would have expected. Again, it's an indie card game. And so take that for what you will. You pay for your indie style of things. I'm going to pay $50 for a little Japanese abstract game. So, support your indie publishers for, the ones that you find the most appealing. And food and animals, this one's going to strike a lot of chords with people. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is funded by the time this video airs for you guys. But there you go, the Big Pig game. Next up, Nightmare Cathedral. I didn't forget about gamefound by any means. Board and dice. Again, this is really killing it. 74,000 euros. Gamefound has sort of, again, not had the eyes. Side note here, Cyanide and Happiness is having a campaign as well. You can see up top. But the more important thing is that Gamefound also is now open to all creators. So I think you're going to see what effect or what trickle down happens now that they're not just selectively allowing people in. Featured pledge is 90 euros right there from the get-go. That's interesting. This is from the mind of the Polish artist. I cannot pronounce his name, but I mean, it's beautiful and it's nightmarish. Again, it's more of an area control game with 2 different phases where you're slowly building the cathedral, but when the cathedral is built, it changes the dynamic of the gameplay and allows you to summon creatures to terrorize your opponents. I don't know. It's beautiful to look at, but I'm also not an area control person, so it's a little bit difficult for me to assess. 90 euros is a lot, even though it has a lot of plastic as you scroll down here, and you can see some of these miniatures with the inspiration based off of the art in the first place. Now, they say it's more Euro game, and they give just a brief illustration here before getting to some of the videos of how you're playing. And an interesting aspect here right from the get-go is the actions that you're taking are dependent on where you are on the board, and not where you are, but where you aren't. So you can take actions that are not adjacent to your character, but other characters may have presence on those spaces, and they're going to benefit then if you do take that action. Now, this is the interesting aspect because it's doing a lot, as you'll see right here. You can summon new followers when you control an area. This also allows you to gain resources, fortifying those areas in, building forts to help you control the areas further, and then maneuvering your creatures, your followers into new areas, and potentially also resolving conflicts. So it's more of a people on a map area control style game rather than just a pure area style. Now, again, spending your followers to perform ritual sacrifice to gain control of nightmares or victory points, and then develop your tableau to be able to do all of these actions a little bit better. Quests and goals there as well, and a few videos playthrough from Gaming Rules as well as Brothers Murph, and again, a few stretch goals that they've already hit. There's really only 1 pledge level, so that's interesting. Only 1 pledge level. Not what I was expecting from the campaign page or the game. I guess you really need to check out one of those videos, though. As I mentioned earlier, not a big horror person. Unsure of the value on this one in terms of getting it now versus later, the availability from Board and Dice. Why? And does it appeal to you, especially as a, area control influential mechanic style game? And if it does, check it out. go over a quick few other ones that are on the way to funding. Nightbreak, I believe this is a relaunch or one that got significantly delayed from last year. It's more of a battling 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 game, like we talked about earlier. Competitive day-night positioning system where you are selecting your heroes and your goddesses, and then trying to knock out the other one in terms of gaining favor. And depending on if it's day or night, you're going to have different interactions. A little bit of everything there in terms of what you're going to be getting. And that's pretty much it, except for the expansions and the price. So rulebook is there, learn to play is there, and everything you need to know is on the page. It's almost 50% funded. Next up, Kazuni, a turn-based strategy game that is almost 10% funded. Supply chain game. So what you're trying to do is be the first to supply the city with what it needs, but you can have opponents attacking you as well in between the game. I kind of like the aesthetic. I kind of like the name. I don't really get a good sense of what's going on there though on the page. You can check out the rule book, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a shout out there because they're also from Michigan. So there you go. Now this one's funded, Shadows, but this is a relaunch, Heroes and Monsters. PvPvE CCG. I'm just going to leave it there. CCG, again, makes me a little nervous. It makes me a little bit trepidatious in terms of, doing that. And PvPvE is a little bit different as well. Now, I'm not sure how unique that is. I can't speak to how different that is. It's also a collectible card game, so it makes me a little nervous in terms of what the contents are going to look like. Yeah, 60 random cards. If I want to go buy CCGs, I'm going to go pick that up at retail of something I know that's going to stand the test of time. So I appreciate them doing a CCG, but I don't know, man. That's tough market, and it's already oversaturated. But anyway, it's funded now, $4,000. There you go. Now, Riot Quest, the board game here. Now, this is a board game edition. Privateer Press has a couple other games out in the Riot Quest aspect, and I believe these are more skirmish-based games, arena miniature-based games. And so what they're doing here, again, is still more like arena skirmish, where you have 10 heroes on a side. Now, I don't know how many players are actually, or heroes are actually in the arena at once. I'm not sure if this diagram here is actually representative because, that's a lot of characters on a map. But essentially what it says is you grab 10 characters of your crew, you get 10 gear cards, and you basically battle it out, complete quests, pick up gear, pick up scrap to out victory point the other person or people. You're getting exclusive gear here as well, and you're getting basically 4 of each of these characters. So you have an option of how you're going to deck them out. Again, crew assembly, rulebook is there, full tutorial. You can see again the board. I don't know, again, how many people are on the board at one time. It looks like you only have about 5 on the board from each faction. And so I'm assuming that as one gets knocked out, you replace it with another one. And then if you can't, then obviously you're in trouble, or obviously you're going to be able to lose easier. And then there's a pets expansion that you can get for an all-in as well for a slight discount of $119. Again, though, this big skirmish style game makes me a little nervous just because I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't see a whole lot of discussion about it, because there's a lot of nuance in those games, and frankly speaking, again, they're hard to get to the table frequently, because this is a meta evolving game. This is you have like 10, 12, 15 different characters, and what combinations of things are you doing? It requires repeated plays. And so that's tough, especially when you have things like Super Fantasy Brawl out there, or just things that are slightly easier, even Slash and Spells from earlier, where it's just more simplistic nature to get to the table, and it's going to cost less as well. But anyway, Riot Quest, check it out. Just a few final ones here at the end. We have Shiki, handmade Japanese playing cards. Again, I just bring these up because they're board game adjacent. You can play tons of card games that stand the test of time just with a regular deck of cards. You could even use this for regicide. These are handmade. These are freaking awesome looking. Again, if you like that sort of thing. 2 patterns that you can get, the Poet and the Warrior, as well as a limited edition. So I have no idea what this value is for. I have no idea what the interest in this on the board game side of things is, and you're going to pay like $35 for a deck of cards, but boy howdy are these fancy. Wow, $56 for the limited edition. But again, just something cool, handcrafted, awesome. You're not going to be able to get this anywhere else but crowdfunding nowadays. So there you go. Then we have Men in Tanks. This is sort of like a war skirmish-esque game where you're basically hiring units trying to blow up the other person's tank and score points to win. and even the little tanks, they even have guys you put in them. So again, there you go. It's a modular board. It's a modular map. 3D. Now they say destructible. I'm not really sure what that means. It means you can move them off, I guess. And you can even buy 2 of them and compete with up to 8 people. There's 2 different modes that you can play. If you like dice, randomness, and luck, you can get the dice mode. And if you prefer more of a strategic, you can just use cards. Capture the flag, deathmatch, and some stretch goals, apparently, including team battle. A couple different levels you can buy it at, including the basic edition, which is, again, it's going to cost you a pretty penny, $78. And the deluxe edition early bird, if you're watching this, you're still going to be able to get into it just barely. The deluxe edition early bird for $78. And then the collector's edition for $121, which is going to get you just more of everything, including all of the 3D bridges, barriers, and even a thank you note. So if you want to see something skirmishy, slightly different, there you go. Now, last but not least, what would this be without a weird abstract? 4 score. Basically, you're trying to connect 4 in a row. It's kind of like Connect 4, only you're doing it with sticks across the way. And there's even a solo mode that you can try and compete. I don't know how the solo mode's going to work, but this just launched as well. A 2-player abstract strategy dexterity game. Check it out. There's as much information basically as I just said. That's all you need to know. 4 in a row and you win. But you can also dislodge other people's or dislodge your own, so you got to be careful how you do it. 4 score. That's it. Now, we'll do some quick updates here. Encyclopedia. Why am I talking about this dice worker placement-esque game? Because I'm going to get a prototype, so I can talk to you guys a little bit more about it, hopefully right before the end of the campaign. I should have it sometime next week, and I'll probably time it for right before it ends. So if you are interested in learning more about what this one does, how this one differs, and compares to a few of the other dice games out there in that aspect, tune in, because I'll have something hopefully on it in that way. But again, it's killing it right now. Almost $200,000. And there's no stretch goals to go through. There's no updates to give you from that aspect. You're just getting a free expansion that's not going to be widely available at retail, and you're going to get it sooner at a slightly cheaper price. Encyclopedia, there you go. I'll let you know when something else comes out. Tidal Blades 2 is, again, killing it. This is going to be very interesting to see how it goes down, if it breaks 1 million by the time it's going to end. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to compare this closely enough to Sleeping Gods. It reminds me that much. I think they're doing unique things. I think just from the updates from when I have had a hands-on and what they're putting out now in terms of some of the scenarios that have been revealed that I did not have access to, as well as some of the new ones, the exclusive ones, I think people are really going to love this. And that's why I'm comparing it to Sleeping Gods in that sense. Now, they've shown some of the more of the miniatures now. They've shown some of the deluxeifications, and then they run through some of the scenarios, the additional campaign ones that they've said here. A 2-level map, which is something completely unique. A 3-map long race here, essentially, with some Skidoo-esque things, a rival you're going up against. I don't know, this reminds me of that movie. What is it? The things come from underground. Tremors. This is like the Tremor map, essentially. There you go. The Sandaconda. Take that for what you will. 4th scenario is not out yet. And then they're going to allow backers to create a scenario as well. And they've got the daily unreveals here. Again, scenario, upgrade your stuff, more cards, more weapons that I talked about, wanting a little bit more variety there, upgraded dice, which look beautiful, more creatures, more cards, more stuff. Again, scenario, items, scenario, difficulty modifiers. There you go. So again, there's going to be another week's worth of this stuff as well. So if you haven't checked this out and you have any inkling of this, and if you haven't checked this out, I would argue at this point, I think that unlike the first campaign, which was more just deluxeifications, I would say that this one, you pick up on the campaign versus waiting till later. My own personal opinion. Ares expansion, again, I'm going for this one. Update what you're getting here. Again, my thoughts are on this one that it's going to be a better than retail. As I talked about last week when it launched, I think just with the things that they're offering and the price, if they're going to have this at retail, I think they're going to be separating these out. And so not only are you going to be probably paying $15 to $20 for each one at retail, you're also going to lack the promo deck here, which is going to be like, what, 12 cards or whatever it is. Whatever it ends up being number-wise. So, and that's okay. Again, I'm not a huge fan of needing like tons of the resources, the sleeves or anything. But I think even just the base pledge of the $49 is good enough for me, and this is killing it as well. And then we have Casting Shadows. If you missed the video from yesterday, this is my sleeper hit of the most value Kickstarter campaign, crowdfunding campaign of 2022, based on the track record from Rami Batty's other games of Unstable Unicorns, Chaos Control, and Here to Slay. So if you're looking at it all from that aspect, you need to be aware. And it looks like a little bit better game, a little bit more appealing game than those other ones for me personally, but it's going to cost you a huge amount of money, much more so than some of the other ones. So it's not as good of a value I would think of as Here to Slay was, or Unstable Unicorns with the Chaos and Control, because there is no expansion, at least yet to this point, that is exclusive, but they've slowly added a few other things, including the latest update, which offers an exclusive character for previous backers of previous games, which you can get as an add-on if you're in my shoes. And that's where some of these exclusivities are going to come in, besides like the playmats. Some of these right here. Like this one up here, the Kickstarter exclusive one right now. It says 4 here, but I think it's up to 6 now. So I mean, those are where the value is going to come in. So again, the total thing is going to cost you $250. I would argue that I'm probably not going to get that, but I'll probably get something lower with maybe all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. Again, but look at all this Kickstarter exclusive stuff. That's why the secondary market value for these things, even though they've had like 20 or 30,000 backers in the previous two, is still selling for hotcakes. Yes, he said hotcakes. There you go. That's the roundup for this week, including a few updates from things. So, as always, way too much stuff, good enough time frame, so hopefully you made it to this point. If you did, you get to hear about my weekend. I have nothing going on this weekend. I have absolutely nothing going on. When I say that, I mean that my 3 kids and my wife are going to visit family, so I am home alone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I have 2 goals. 1, play 3 new games each day. Haha, got you there. Like 3 games. He can do 3 games new to me each day. And 2, lines up with 2 videos filmed each day. So I have big plans from that aspect. Otherwise, I have absolutely nothing going on in between. So it's basically carte blanche for whatever I want to do. It's going to be weird, though. It's going to be weird to have an empty house. It's going to be freaking weird. I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to be a little lonely. I won't lie. It's spring break around here. So like everyone else is going on vacation and a couple guys in my game group aren't available. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to get anything played with anybody else. It's just going to be me doing solo games, trying to learn how to play them and trying to be able to tell you about them in the future. So that's all I got otherwise. Yeah, it's been a good week to be done with a little bit of a break from work. So that's all I got. Stay classy. Tune in next time. I'll see you around, hopefully. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell other people about it. All good. Thanks.